Welcome to the Church Sound Podcast, where kingdom culture, real life, and technology intersect. I'm your host, Prentice Thompson, along with the pastor, Caleb Winley. We're here to help you get through Sunday. Did you hear the pastor? What about your live streams, social media? We provide solid solutions for all of your multimedia needs. Let's learn something today. Let's go. Yes. Welcome to another edition of the Church Sound Podcast. I am your humble host, Mr. Prentice Thompson, along with the Pastor Caleb Winley. How y'all guys doing today? Let's get it. Yes, and welcome to episode number 54. Oh, bro. 54. We getting old. We're getting old, man. Oh, middle age. I refuse to take a crutch. Craig is coming in. The grays are coming in. The grays are coming in. No Bengay. Coming in hot. Grecian formula. For real. Welcome to episode number 54. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's show. It was a doozy. Hope you guys enjoyed the anniversary show, which was even crazier. Hope you guys had a good time with that and watch it on YouTube. Before we begin, make sure you like, subscribe, review, do all the things that we need you to do. Keep this show on the road. Today we got a great topic and we got a great guest. Today's topic is church production. I know that sounded kind of oxymoron-ish. Right. Church production. Kind of like church shoes or church clothes or church socks or Christian hip hop or Christian or church's chicken, you know. There it is. Church's chicken. So it is funny how you put church before something and it's supposed to mean something different. Yeah, I digress. Yeah. But anyway, we got a great guest to talk about this great topic called church production. I'm gonna let the great pastor bring it out there. Andre Crazy One Griffith was the host of the C1 radio show at 88.7 FM WNHU, Connecticut's premier radio show for holy hip hop and rhythm and praise. This brother was killing it, doing it, making it happen. He had special guests like The Truth. He would reveal people like K-Drama, CMO, DJ Morph. He was doing it, making it happen. But then now he has moved on to an even bigger and better place. In 2004, Andre founded C1 Media, a multimedia entertainment production company who recently includes the short film The Promotion on Amazon Prime, which won the Best Drama Short Award, Best Acting Duo Award, and honorable mention for the best first-time director at the International Film Festival. Guys, I want to just take this opportunity to introduce you to a brother. I've always known him as Crazy One because he's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. You know what I'm saying? But he gets the job done. He loves people and he takes the time to just allow people to know who you are when he's on the mic, and also when you are who you are when he's behind the camera. I want to introduce you to my brother, Andre Crazy One Griffith. What's up, bro? Yeah, what's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? Glad to be on the show today, man. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe, man. Give them a 5-star rating. Go and leave that review. Do what you gotta do, man. Keep the shows like this on the air and in your phones. Schedule a download. You know what I'm saying? Do all that stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know the crazy thing, I was thinking, I said, yo, when did I meet Dre? And I met you. It was at, I think it was Stellar Awards weekend. It was one of those.
Yeah, either that or Rap Fest.
No, I never been to.
That's where we met. Okay,
that's what me and you went with when I was married to DJ Flame. That's what we did.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I met you at the Stellar Awards, and I remember you approaching me, and you were like, "Listen, man, I got this show. I want you to do that." You was beating my ear to death, bro. Everywhere I would go, I would see him. You say, "Yo, I'm Crazy One." I said, "Yo, I know, I get it, I know." Yo, I got this radio show. Yo, can you help me up? Yo, could you send me some music? Yo, and I was like, "Yo, when I get back, I'm gonna make sure you get everything you need." Like,
And then I did that, and we just always stayed in contact. And then the next year, his show was like bumping. I was like,
yeah.
And then I think I took Simo to your station for an interview. We performed at your church.
Yep.
That was a great weekend.
That's dope.
And it was really great to see you do your thing in the actual studio, because hearing you and seeing you was two different things.
Right.
I gotta tell you this quick little story about that. You met me in phase 2. All right. Phase 1, I was down at Stellar's, and there was my boy DJ Maestro. He got nominated for a Stellar for he produced part of a compilation album that got like special event CD of the year or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I was really just kind of lobbying for him. Like I was like, handing out his business cards. I'm like, hey, my name is Andre Griffith. I represent DJ Maestro. I just want to give him his card, and we would like to talk to you about doing some remixes on his mixtape and blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And then the next year I went down there with a radio show. Everybody knew me from that as the guy that was hustling in the lobbies. I couldn't get access to nothing, and this year I actually got access. So when I met you, we had this whole thing. We had a bag with us at all times, and CDs was still a thing. So we was like, yo, we leaving home with everybody's CD. That's why I kept hitting you up like, yo, I need some music from you, man. Because we did the whole, everybody who handed us a promo CD on the way back to Connecticut, we listened to the CD. If it was bad, it was highway decoration.
Exactly.
So you met me in phase 2 of the grind, man. And that grind got me into a lot of places even today. Like if we get to it, I will tell you the story of how one of those year 2 connections ended up in like my 2021 success.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll definitely touch on that.
Yeah, we got to touch on that.
Let's pay some bills.
Yep.
We want to thank our sponsor, Metro Podcast Studio, hottest podcast studio in New York City. If you're ever in the New York City area, make sure you hit them up. You want live streaming, audio recording, video recording, podcast production, podcast editing, any mastering, anything you may need, they can definitely help you out. MetroPodcastStudio.com for all of your podcasting needs. Before we get started into our topic, our great topic, church production, we do this thing called Sunday School. And we got a guest minister who's going to give us his 3 points. So let's get ready for Sunday School. And the pastor on the mic is the good Reverend, the good Reverend Doctor, Crazy One.
So I have to tune up on this one.
So what's your 3 points, sir?
3 points. These cameras.
Okay.
The great lighting debate.
Okay.
In the mega church field.
The mega church field?
Yes.
Mega church field. Okay.
These cameras.
Okay. I'm doing my Denzel. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go with these cameras.
Okay. I think I'm gonna rock with you, bro. Yeah.
These cameras are $459.99.
There it is.
There it is.
All right. So I get to the church that I currently attend, right? And now I'm like, I live in Connecticut. My church is in Rhode Island. All right. So, this must be a really good church for me to be traveling 2 hours.
I'm about to say,
every weekend to go up there. So this is like when I first get there, and the pastor kind of shows me, because he actually recruited me to kind of, get the church broadcast up and running. And they had these cameras there. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, these are some pretty nice cameras. There was some Sony's. They were 1080p cameras, and like they were really good. They showed me my office. They got a full-on editing suite. I mean, like TV studio editing suite.
Wow.
With a TriCaster, all right, top of the line mixing board, everything like this is like a tech guy's dream.
That's a dream. Yeah, I was about to say that never happened.
And it was sitting there collecting dust.
Wow.
So I start to look at what their past broadcasts look like. And I'm looking at, they were on like livestream.com or something like that. And like everything was like 4:3, like super like, I mean, I remember like when we was growing up watching TV, we thought that, like watching Cosby Show, like this stuff was like clear, like
yeah.
And then you upgrade to high def, and now you look at that same signal, you be like, ugh. So
exactly.
Like they broadcasting a 480i. I'm like, are you serious? So I go to the person who was running the stuff, air quoting, for the audio listeners out there. They were quote unquote running this stuff before I got there. And I said, why are we broadcasting in 480i? And he says, well, these cameras don't broadcast HD. I said, yes, they do. And I go and I look at the camera in the back, and they have a HDMI converter into RCA video out.
What?
Come on, man.
They had an HDMI to they converted it to composite?
They dumbed it down.
Yes.
480.
Oh my God.
Yes. And I'm sitting there now watch it. Now watch this for all you tech people out there. You're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. So it was an HDMI converted into a composite, running into an SDI into the TriCaster.
What?
So you're trying to downsample, then upsample.
Yep, that's what they did.
Into the TriCaster. And so the result was they were getting a 4x3 480i broadcast out.
What?
Now, I had some time. I'm like, okay, I have to get used to the TriCaster. So I will go in for the next couple of Saturdays to kind of like, get my bearings on the TriCaster. And I start scrounging around through the stuff in my office. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute. They're using this. They got two HDMI to SDI converters right here. And I'm talking about like Asia ones. Like,
oh God,
step up from Black Magic.
Okay.
Like they had the pro stuff.
They had the real joints.
They had the real stuff. They had an RF converter to hook up the signal into any TV in the building. All right. They had all this stuff at their disposal. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go while this guy isn't there because he was a little bit high strung. Kind of, I guess he was mad because I was there. Mm-hmm. I went and I swapped out all the connections. I put the box up there, put the HDMI into the SDI, and boom. And they also had a PTZ camera that was just a stagnant shot. And it was like, yeah, well, we can only get that one shot, so we don't ever use it. I'm like, well, all you have to do is just throw the IP address into the TriCaster, and then once the IP address connects to the TriCaster, you can use this joystick right here to control the PTZ. And I'm doing all this stuff. And it was like, well, how did you do that? I said, I read the directions.
Wow. The El Manuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
not
as far
Jesus. El Manuel.
As far as the camera goes,
not the Bob.
They had that camera at its lowest setting. I went in there. I turned it on to, I think it was Cinema Profile, and then ran that into the TriCaster. Now all of a sudden, you got depth of field. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like you can like when the pastor is walking through and the person behind is following the pastor in the camera, it's like, it actually looks like, wow, this looks like it's on TV.
Wow.
Not from TV from 1970.
No.
Exactly.
No. This thing looked like what's happening and all that. No, this thing.
Wow.
Like this look like I could be up there with like Creflo and all them, man. Like, so he was like, "How did you do that?" I said, "Yo, I just read the directions and I looked up the manual on the camera. So like this camera is broadcast quality." And then, and before I got there, the pastor he literally gave me one because it was sitting in the back doing nothing. He gave me, that was like my first professional camera. He gave me a $5,000 Sony camera and was like, "Here, you need a camera. Take this one. It's in the back doing nothing."
Wow.
Man, listen.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's my Sunday school story for today.
Wow.
Read
these cameras.
Not these cameras. These cameras.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. So, I'm going to start with my first question. How did the radio guy become the film guy?
Yeah.
So, when I was doing C1 Radio, like you had said, the show had started to boom. I started to get syndicated. All of a sudden, the demand for the show to be at places live was real. So we started going places. We started, listen, for a good 8 years, I haven't paid for a concert or a CD, period. Anywhere that I needed to go, whether it was Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, I got backstage access plus interview privileges. And so with that, I had a photographer and I had a videographer with me doing all this stuff, right? And of course, you can't ask people to do work for free, but I didn't have the money to like pay them a salary. So I'm like, listen, when we get called out of state, I got your travel and I got your hotel. It's the least I can do. Mm-hmm. So you get a free trip on, and you get to get into places that you don't normally get to get into. And one day they just came to me and was like, "Yo, we tired of doing this." And I'm like, "Listen, bro, if you stick with me, I promise you, I am trying to get us paid for real." And it was like, "Nah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do our own, we're gonna go our ways and we're gonna do whatever." So one of the guys stopped doing photography altogether for like 4 years. And then like just recently started to connect with me and was like, "Yo, I'm about to get back into this." The other guy, he's doing videography steady, but just on a local level. Okay. And so my wife said, "You know what? Forget them. Let's look up a camera. Let's buy a camera and we'll see what we can do with it. We'll do it ourselves if nobody wants to do it with us." So we got this, went to Best Buy and we got this Nikon P3000. Man, listen, you couldn't tell me that we weren't doing something with that cheesy point and shoot camera, man. And so, but what we did was we figured out the principles. Started learning how to light, started learning how to do simple things like green screen and everything, because at this time, I think we were starting to try theater hoppers. And then I created The Zone because there was a guy in Buffalo who he had this gospel video show type of deal. And he didn't know what to do with it. So he came up to me and was like, "Listen, I see you out there doing all these interviews and stuff like that, man. Here, just take the rights to the show and just go with it." I'm like, "Okay." So I looked and saw what he was doing. I'm like, all right. So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to take this and we're just going to rebrand it." And so we learned how to do some green screen with that little point and shoot camera. And we did our first couple of episodes. And then at this time, I'm still deep in the radio game. So now I'm saying, "Hey, listen, I'm doing a new video, Christian hip hop video show. If y'all send me videos, I get them on the air. And it basically is going to be like a gospel rap city."
Wow.
And so they was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." So they started sending me videos. And I'm doing a green screen. I got a little background with the zone on it, and like
I remember
the little screen of other videos.
Had your After Effects popping.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, we could do like a weekly top 10. So I got with the One Accord DJ Alliance. I was like, yo, give me a top 10 every month or something like that. And I'll do a top 10. I'll shoot it with the video clips and all this other stuff. So we did that for a little bit. But then it got to the point where, like I said, my pastor had gave me that camera. And I'm like, oh, so this is a real camera. And so then I went to Craigslist and bought my wife like it was a Nikon D5100. So that was her first pro, air quoting for the people at home, pro photography camera. Okay. And so we started going on a road, like the Elevation Conference, not the Elevation Conference, the I think it was the Elevation Conference in Boston. It was this big hip hop Christian hip hop conference in Boston that happens every year. So we started doing that, and then they were bringing everybody in there. So I'm like, listen, I can get a whole season's worth of shows from this one concert. So we did that. We lasted for 4 seasons before DCMA or DMCA kicked in. Because then everybody was like,
DMCA for the listeners out there.
Yeah, the DMCA. So they kicked in. And then it was like, listen, you getting too big to not be paying these royalties out. Companies. So we ended up having to go to the licensing people, getting our license. But even that didn't hold us up for too much longer before it was just like anything we posted got blocked. And so there was no real way without being on like a BET or a TV One or something like that to actually keep that show going and actually do something with it, because we were at that point, people were actually paying us to come out and do an episode of The Zone at their event.
Wow.
So yeah, and I told these guys like, yo, if you stick with us, I promise you I'm gonna get you paid. Sure. Like, nah. So the minute they had quit, boom, we started getting paid jobs. So making a long story less long, it quickly evolved into moving from that camera that my church gave me into buying actually renting a FS7 for a wedding from my job. I used to work at Yale School of Drama. So I borrowed a real movie camera from them to do a wedding. And this wedding that I did happened to be an MMA guy's wedding. Like there's this, he's a one-handed MMA fighter called Nick Newell. Look him up. This dude is freaking awesome. Fought for CES. He fought for UFC, and he fought for Bellator. So I did his wedding. People loved it. And then all of a sudden this, can you do mine? Can you do mine? And then I got the attention of some people. And from there, it was from doing weddings to doing video profiles for my wife's photography. Now she's moved up from a D5100 to a D7200. So now she's got an 810 and an 850. So we're doing YouTube stuff for her, and we got press passes to an MMA event. So I kind of did one for her because we were doing an episode on sports photography. They put that out there. I get a call. Hey, our video guy is moving down to North Carolina. You think you could come shoot stuff for us? So this is a UFC affiliate in New England. And I start, I was like, okay, so where am I going to stand? Am I shooting through the cage? It's like, you're standing right here. I'm looking where here is right on top of the cage. I'm one of the guys with the camera.
What?
Yeah. And at this point now, I got a GH5 with a monitor, and I'm like shooting MMA on UFC.
What?
Camera. Dude's getting body slammed and almost kicking me in the face. Listen, if there's any post editing to this, I will send you the picture of me literally moving my camera.
There is post editing to this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Listen, I have a picture where I am literally on the top of a cage at a UFC event. This dude is like picking this other dude up and body slamming him. And you see me like, because I'm about to get hit. And somehow, some way, I still keep the camera on the action, so I get the entire body slam.
Right,
but I had to move out the way because this dude was like almost about to kick me in the face, getting body slam.
Wow.
But I started doing that, and even like I just finished a commercial for them today for UFC Fight Pass. So I've been working with them for the past 2 years doing commercials and highlights for UFC Fight Pass. And then I think we ended up getting an opportunity through my wife because now she's one of the top female photographers in the Northeast. She'll be teaching at I think it's the Vision Conference down in Charleston in October, which is the second largest Black photographers conference in the nation. So she got an invitation from a publication in LA to go shoot WNBA. And then she was like, well, can you get him a pass too? It's like, oh yeah, no problem. So we got passes. Now we're at the Connecticut Sun Games shooting WNBA games. I showed the publicist what I'm like, the same way I was hunting you down, Prentice, at the Stellars. I was finding out who the people were. Okay, they're the publicists, they're the relations person.
Right.
Let's go to this person right here. He's a social media guy. Yo, look at this. I'm showing him stuff that I did from last game. He was like, dude, this is effing awesome. So he said, he was like, yo, listen, we're getting you a season pass. Tag us on all your stuff. You're working for us now. So this is the year before COVID hit. Every home game up until the finals, because Connecticut made the finals that year. All right.
Wow.
My wife got to shoot the WNBA finals. I didn't because they only allowed, because ESPN and all the big wigs kind of pushed small guys out there. But that transitioned into me getting this Z-Cam for my birthday because I wanted to upgrade to a real cinema camera.
I remember the phone call.
Oh.
You called me.
Listen, I was like, yo.
Again. What do you think?
Like, yo, I was asking about cameras because I saw that short that you did, man, with the dudes at the campfire and the VR.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome, bro.
Thank you, man.
Listen, you inspired me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get to this level. That there was you had a version of success in my eyes that I wanted to reach. And so that summer, I was like, you know what? I got a real movie camera. I am going to shoot my film. And then, of course, because I worked at Yale School of Drama, I got all these connects. So I was like, listen, I call up one dude, say, listen, I'm working on a short film, and I would love for you to come produce it with me. He was like, okay, I've never produced a film before. I said, yeah, but you're a stage manager. Like that's your major, stage management.
Right.
Producing is not that far off.
Right.
And what he quickly learned, it's not that far off. This dude came to me the next week with a production schedule saying, hey, listen, so we're going to look at a couple of writers. So we know Terrell Alvin McCraney, who wrote the movie Moonlight, that won the Oscar a few years back over La La Land.
Yeah.
Who reached out to him. It's like, listen, this is my idea. I want to turn this into a movie. Can you do the screenplay for me? He was like, listen, I'm working on something with Felicia Rashad right now, so I can't. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my top student, and he's going to do it for you. I was like,
yo, that's crazy. What?
So, listen.
What?
This dude wrote the script in like 4 days. And then we kind of, over the next month, we kind of refined it into what it was. Then I was like, yo, I need a costume designer. So I started I started working my Yale connections. I was like, boom. So I got a costume designer. I got a costume designer. I got a screenwriter. I got a producer. And then my wife, because she does photography, I was like, yo, I need you to get a makeup artist to do the hair and makeup and stuff like that. She was like, yeah, no problem. So we went out, talked to some people, and it was like, yeah, this is a great opportunity. I'll do it. 4 days before production started, I can't do it. I'm like, how the heck you expect me to get a makeup artist for a film for a 4-day shoot? So I put out a call on Facebook. this lovely lady by the name of Amber Weinberg. Okay. She don't look like us. She said,
no, she don't sound like us, but okay.
I'll do it. I was like, listen.
That's it.
All right, let's just come in. So she's like a top, when I say a top makeup artist, like she rolls with an elite crew. And she is like, I don't care what she looks like. She did that makeup. She did that makeup for all black cast. She did that makeup. And she ended up winning best makeup in it's one of the festivals that we won. She ended up winning I think it was the Indie X Film Fest. She won best makeup for the movie.
Wow.
And I'm just like, and I'm sitting there like, wow. Now, if only the other girl could have got her.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably could have won that award, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
But we did that. 11 film festivals we got accepted into. We won 4 awards, which you've already named. The fourth one was the best makeup, which wasn't in that bio.
That's crazy.
And then Amazon, we got it into IMDb. We submitted it into Amazon. Amazon said, yes, we'll take it. And because I don't know if you know, but Amazon doesn't take indie stuff anymore.
No.
So for them to say that they'll take the film when they don't take indie stuff anymore, that was like, okay, like we're doing something. I look at the film right now and I cringe.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I'm like, oh, I could have did this better. I could have did that better.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh.
But
you are so right.
So that was our natural progression just from radio into video. And now it's like I walked away from my job. I gave them my notice at the beginning of the year. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this full time because if I know that I can accomplish this and still look at myself and cringe at it, I know I can only get better, but I can only get better if that's all I concentrate on. So I've been full time, almost 6 months now. I've been full time with this, and I've done 4 commercials, a mini doc, and I'm doing a documentary that we pitched over to PBS, and they are interested in this documentary. And a new project, which I can't really name right now, but it will be on BET next month. Like, it's like it was like me saying, I don't have all my ducks in a row, but I'm going to take a step on faith. And I'm going to go through it. And by me doing that, God was like, where you been? Like, I've been waiting for you to do this for a couple of years now. And just started lining up jobs. And I'm talking about not $500 music videos. I'm talking about stuff with commas and extra zeros and extra digits. And I'm just like, wow, like just that whole leap of faith thing, it's real.
Yeah.
If you trust God enough to say, all right, this is all or nothing. I don't have a safety net. I was like, okay, that's what I'm looking for.
That's what he wants. Really yeah.
So that was my journey from radio to video into filmmaker.
Wow.
That's
wow.
Dope. That's dope.
So let's tie this bring this back home to our churches. And when it comes to creating content for churches or creating just productions inside the church, like what is your concept still the same?
So I've learned a lot in terms of broadcast standards and how the perception of what church looks like versus what an actual TV production looks like.
Right.
And so what I try to do is I try to work those elements into my church broadcast. So although we don't have $10,000 cameras and jibs and like 4 guys on steady cam to kind of roam around the sanctuary and stuff like that. I bring my camera to church every week, and then I upgraded that Sony camera from earlier. I upgraded that into a Sony Cinema camera. So I think it's like a FS 100 or something like that. So it's still a 1080 cinema camera, but I upgraded it so that at least we have 2 cinema cameras going on, and we'll have a good look. And then started to talk to my pastor. And I was like, if you really want the best presentation, we got to work on like the physical presentation of it. We can't just throw in, $1,000 cameras and then say, oh, hey, look, we look good. No, you got to dress the stage up a little bit and, make it look good, do some lighting, that type of stuff. Because for years, we didn't have lighting in the church. And it would be the sun would come in from 10 to 11, 10 to 10:30. The sun will come in and literally blast everybody out. And then on a cloudy day, it's just like no light camera. Right. So it was like, hey, we need lighting. Let's get some Lecos up there. Let's get some stage lighting in. Let's get some backlighting and stuff like that to kind of not. We don't have to sit there and look like Hillsong or Elevation or any of those people.
Right.
All we need to do is just look good, look clear, sound clear, and people at home. Listen, church folk don't get what we do. They want to come in. They want to sing their songs. They want to hear the message. They want to shake hands, hug, and if y'all eat afterwards, that's what y'all do. But that's what they hear. They don't really care about how the stuff works. All they know is that it works. I click on Facebook, service is on. That's it.
Right.
And it took a while for me to kind of explain to my leadership that in order for us to look like what we are, I'll say it like that, because a lot of people are trying to look like what they look. A lot of people are trying to look like what they're not.
Exactly.
But I know that because I drive 2 hours every weekend to go to this church, so I know that there's something, but they weren't looking like it. And so I said, we need to look like what we are. And until we look like what we are, we're not going to get those people that says, here's $10,000. Thank you for being a blessing. Because I'm not going to say that this is because of me, because it really isn't. It's really a collective of all the leadership that makes this stuff happen, because, I'm not paying out this stuff out of my pocket. The church is paying the stuff for this stuff. I told them what to get. They got it. The stuff that I wasn't able to do, the carpenters and electricians and everybody like that, they came in, they pitched in, and they helped do all the stuff. And then once we got this stuff looking good, once we got it sounding good, I kid you not, there were people that was just handing in $10,000 and $15,000 checks and saying, thank you. Like, I can actually bear looking at service now.
Right. Because they see excellence.
Right. They see you doing something. And the thing is, when people actually see you doing something, they take you seriously.
Right.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. A lot of times, especially when it comes to lighting, creating separation, like what's behind me, it's I'm creating separation.
Yep.
All right.
I got the opposite colors that Dre knows this. I got the opposite colors, and I'm lighting myself with 57 Kelvin, through a diffuser. Now, that's creating the separation.
Right.
By lighting myself and then lighting the background and having some depth of perception.
Yep.
In churches, a lot of times, what you don't see is that, and what you do see is just flat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you wonder why people turn away, because if you really think about it, they'll watch it on YouTube, right? And then they'll click and they go to Disney Plus and HBO and FX and they can see
the difference,
how it should look.
Exactly.
But when you're production, not your church production, when your production matches the excellence they're used to seeing on a daily basis on all of their devices, that's the point you'd like to get to.
Yeah.
And it all starts with a conversation. So it's a blessing that you had a pastor that can see past where they are and trust you enough to frame the imaging to present who they are.
Exactly. Yeah, they had an ear to hear. That's very important for pastors. Every pastor, please hear this, to have that ear to hear what someone that's a little smarter than you in an area this does nothing for who you are as a leader or a pastor or anything, but there are people that understand what needs to take place. And when you give them the green light to allow their calling to show forth, you'll get to see a byproduct that comes off that will show you, wait a minute, I haven't been doing it right, but here's someone else that knows, and so please hear what we're saying. This is very important, that allow us to just speak into your ears and give you the gems to get you where you need to go, and trust and know that everything that we say to you is not for our own glory, but for the kingdom. It really, truly is.
I'm going to take it a step further. Be willing to spend money. And if you don't have the money, raise it. We are in, listen, if there's one thing that the pandemic really exposed, not the government, the churches.
Yeah.
Because before it was, and I'm just going to put it out there, it was the white churches that had the best presentations, that had the cinema style quality, and the sound mixing, and the person doing the closed caption and all this other stuff. And then pandemic hit. The only thing that they had to do was say, okay, Sally and Jim, you're going to take these PCs home with you.
Exactly.
And we're going to do this, and boom, boom, boom. And they're up and running. Fortunately, my church was one of those churches because they had me. And I go to a multicultural church. So it was more or less of pastor was like, yo, me and you going to be best friends. Because every week it was me, my wife, and my pastor, and maybe a couple of other musicians, all right, saying, okay, so how do we do this? How do we do that? Because I believe when the first round of restrictions hit, we kind of turned church into like our own version of the 700 Club, where it was the senior pastor and the executive pastor just kind of having a conversation about whatever the sermon topic was. And then pre that, we would go in and do like a month's worth of praise and worship, and that I would edit. And then each week, just kind of like, okay, so we're going to do the sermon topic, and then we're going to take set 1. This is this week, set 2's next week, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But then when the full restrictions hit, it was, what do we do now? We don't have Andre's lights and cameras and all this other stuff to do it. So I was like, okay. So the church bought 2 Lumix G7s. All right. And say, nice, okay, we're going to take that. I'm going to tell you how to set your camera. I think they bought a couple of light panels lights. I said, I'm going to tell you how to set your panel. I'm going to show you how to set up your lights. You're going to film this and Dropbox it to me. And then what we started to do was, for the musicians who had recording, because we have a couple of pro musicians in our church, so they had recording equipment at home. Like, one of them plays for the Navy band. So he was able to just literally record the songs, send it to me, and then we send it to everybody to actually record their part, and then back to me, and then I would sync it up in post. So it was kind of like a We Are the World of praise and worship that we were doing for like a good 3 months.
That's dope. Yep.
So like my wife was like literally like in this seat recording and singing praise and worship. Wow. And then I would have like backlighting and everything like that. Same thing like Prentice has. I would like backlight and all that stuff, and then we would send it off, and then we would do the announce because we are the media communications managers of our church. Okay. So the announcements and the offering, all that stuff, that was shot here. Just string up a background, throw some lights up, and then use the teleprompter. Like boom, there you have it. But a lot of churches didn't have that, and it's like my man AJ Holmes, like he has a group on Facebook called a ministry media. I forgot what the name of it is. I'll get the name of it. What is it? Multimedia Ministry. And this dude went from like a couple of hundred subscribers to like 50,000 subscribers because he saw the need. And he just started pumping out videos. This is how you use OBS. This is how you use.
I need his information. Gotta have him on the show.
I'll get you his information. I will get you his information. Because he literally grew. I believe he's like at 20,000 subscribers now on YouTube. Because once pandemic hit, nobody knew what they was doing, and he was the only one doing this stuff catered for church. Wow. And I was just like, yo, like he brought me on as a moderator for the group. And I was just like, okay, I don't have the patience to deal. Like I need to deal with people who
it's a camera, right? If I put it here, here's a lens. This is a lens. This is not a bottle. This is a lens, and I put it in front. See me? Can you see me?
If I get another post that shows a $200 Canon camcorder that you're supposed to take on vacations with you and say, how do I live stream with this camera? I'm going to lose my mind. So I was like, listen, I will help you moderate the room. I will help answer most questions that I can. I said, but I really can't deal with people who are not knowledgeable, because the thing is, a lot of these folks, they think they know it already. And I'm like,
unfortunately, yeah.
It's like, okay, listen, I understand, Deacon Johnson, that you have been running the soundboard at your church for 15 years, but you are dealing into a whole different new level of like, we're in a whole new era now. Zoom has literally taken over. Like, we used to have Skype. Where is Skype now? Now everybody's trying to come up with their own version of a Zoom, because Zoom did it so well. Now they got breakout rooms and all this other stuff, and like everybody's like, okay, well, we could do that. I'm like, Zoom was like, nope, we got this on lock. Now you have to learn how to navigate that. Now you have to learn how to take like a real camera, all right, and like, because this is the same camera and I shoot commercials and films with right here. All right, I have this hooked up to my computer. How do I have it hooked up to your computer? Everybody says when I jump on a Zoom call, why is your quality so good?
It's called an encoder.
Exactly. You're looking at me through $10,000 right now. That's why it's so good.
Exactly.
So
my Zoom machine don't look like that.
No. It's because I got a $5,000 lens on a $5,000 camera. That's why you're looking at it.
Exactly.
But it's like it's a whole thing that the church just wasn't ready for, and they weren't ready for it because they thought that they didn't need it, and they got comfortable with the fact that they listen. People are going to come. And we just going, that's it. Now, what happens when you can't come to church? How are you going to minister to people when you can't come to church? The pandemic exposed a lot of churches, and they were forced to come up to at least a level. So now that most of the church is at least the basic level of streaming, now it's time for the folks that have been doing this for years. Now we got to step it up, because there's not they're pretty soon. I'm going to say by the end of next year, you're not going to be able to tell who's who anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because once people started to learn about OBS, it was like, okay, I know OBS now. Let's go to StreamYards.
Right.
And now, okay, StreamYards is not quite. Let's go to vMix. From vMix is okay. So now we got the ATEM, and from ATEM they're going to go into TriCasters, and then from TriCasters they're going to go up to. And next thing you know, they're going to be raising up that money, bringing in $50,000 systems into their church, creating a whole room for their church, and then they're going to be trying to run TV networks like like all these wannabe Roku companies.
Oh, yeah, they're out there. Yeah, out there.
I didn't see that.
Zoku.
Listen, there is another C1 Media out there. I'm trying to get my joint trademarked real fast. There's another C1 Media out there who, like, this dude has got a jacked up, and I mean jacked up, green screen presentation, and he's trying to get people to pay him to set up a Roku channel and build their own networks, and saying that they have a partnership with Samsung and all this. Like, no, listen, if you leave this, if you take this out, you take this out, but I'm gonna put this out there for all you church folks out there. You should not have to pay to be on anyone's platform. They should be paying you to be on their platform. If what you're doing is so good that they have to have you on their network, it is not how much do I write the check for. It is, where is my check? Exactly. Because you got too many people thinking that they're TV producers and network owners because they have a Roku app on the thing that won't even show up automatically, because that's the thing that they're promising you. Like, so we got a deal with Samsung that your network is going to pop up when people buy the TV, the smart TV, and they go to the Roku app. Your channel's going to pop up after you search them and go 10 pages. Then, sure. Like, it's real. It's
people have to physically be subscribed. They have to subscribe to your page,
right? Because you're not an HBO or a Netflix or any of those people who are literally paying millions of dollars to be on the front, to be preloaded into the TV when you open it. They're paying millions of dollars for that. And you think for $150 a month that's going to be you?
God blessed it, but God blessed it. He blessed it.
Did I just shut some people up?
Blessed it with all that.
But it's amazing because 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, we had the same exact conversation, bro. Same exact conversation about where this should be going. Churches should be monetizing, that your quality would be so good that now you can monetize and change the face of what people recognize and now understand to be television. This is what TV is now. It's no longer a broadcast station somewhere in the mountains. It's in your house. Yeah. Right. It's in your church, and you got to use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So you alluded to this in your Sunday school titles. What is the conversation that was centered around mega church feel?
So,
because I know that wasn't a toss out. That was not a toss out.
Like, I am not letting you leave without talking about that.
We got to talk about this mega church feel.
I had a church bring me in to consult with them about kind of doing what I do at my church. All right. Okay. And so they literally had the facility to do it. If I'm going to be honest with you, they had the building to do it. But when I told them that off the rip, you're not doing anything for under $10,000. All right. And that's with getting
low.
That's with getting like the travel version of a TriCaster, which is like $8,000. And then you can get away with getting buying a couple used cinema cameras or something like that. And then some lighting. All right. So minimum $10,000, you can get away with having somewhat of a mega church feel for your thing. But I broke it down from component by component because they had screens on the walls, they had confidence monitors and all this other stuff. I said, okay, so now this is what you're talking about. You're talking about building, not getting a Mac. You're building at least a $2,500 computer, all right, that you can upgrade periodically and get at least 4 years out of. All right, so $2,500 off the rip just for the box alone. All right, now you're gonna need monitors. Okay, so you're gonna need at least 4 or 5 of those things to do everything that you're gonna need to do. All right, because now you're talking about getting a device for a switcher. Like if you're getting a TriCaster Mini or something like that, it does come with an interface, but you're still going to have to get the monitors for it. You're still going to have to get the computer to actually broadcast the signal out to. You're going to have to buy the switcher unit that goes with it. Right. That's just we're talking about the booth now. We haven't even left the booth. All right. Now you're talking about putting a truss system up in your Raptors. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you're gonna have to get a system that you have to lower your truss, be able to rig your lights up, raise that truss back up. Now you need front lighting, you need back lighting, you need crowd lighting, because in order to do this, you're gonna have to black out your lights. So you can't have floodlights going on in your church because floodlights are fluorescent. Guess what fluorescent does to camera? It flickers. So I started going, I said, so if this is what you want, you're talking minimum $100,000. They wrote me a $50 check and said, thank you for your time.
What? Wow.
I haven't even touched cameras yet.
Right.
Because now you're going to need to get the either Panasonic Vericams or maybe the Blackmagic Studio cameras or something like that. That you have to, now you got to build platforms. On. Now you need to get headsets so that your camera operators can talk to your producer and your director. All right. Now you're going to need other software like vMix or something like that. So now you can do your titles and your subtitles and import your ProPresenter. Oh yeah, vMix costs money. ProPresenter costs a lot of money. Yeah, and they don't do free upgrades.
Right.
No.
So you're talking about not only your principal, but now you're talking about yearly costs. All right. So I mean, for people who are out there who are listening, when you're talking about the mega church feel, you have to understand what goes into that thing. Somewhere in those mega churches, like when you watch World Changers or when you watch Potter's House or Joyce Meyer even, somewhere in the corner of their church, there is a guy with a long pole that has bodybuilding weights attached to it.
Sure.
That has a camera on a gimbal. They call this a jib. All right. So the jib itself, to get to that mega church level, you're talking about $12,000 just for it. Basically, it's
just the jib.
Just the jib. That's just the rolling cart with the seat. Yep. And then the mechanical operating that one guy says, now you need to hire another guy that knows how to operate the camera movements, and then another guy to pull focus. Yep. So it takes 3 people to operate a jib. So that's how you get that sweeping look in the church. If you ever been to like a boxing event or a wrestling event, you've seen one of these things in action. Mm-hmm. If you ever watch the awards, you see these big cameras, and then they have these guys on what they call steady cams. All right. Yep. So steady cams, these guys are wearing a vest to kind of protect their upper body. All right, and then they have an arm to kind of take the weight off of their actual arms. That unit right there costs about $5,000 for the professional ones. All right, and that's just the steady cam. We're not even talking about the Alexa Trinity, the RV Trinities. All right, that's a whole nother beast right there. That's a $10,000 unit. But for a steady cam, you have to have your broadcast camera on top of the steady cam gimbal. Now, this is a long stick with weights on the bottom and a monitor with batteries that cost $200 a piece just to power that unit. Yep. They have to train those people on how to do that, because that's not an easy thing to I've tried it. Like, after like a couple of weeks, I was just like, I'm just going to go buy me a Crane 3S and be done with it. So, like, that vest with the arm, and then the fly cam, the glide cam that comes with it, and all that stuff, that's at least $5,000 a piece. And they have at least 4 of those things, all right, floating around, getting that person that's watching on $5,000 to get that shot.
Yep.
Is that what you really want?
And on top of that, somebody's pulling focus.
Exactly. Somebody's pulling focus, and if they're not updated with a Terra deck, which costs $2,000,
right,
that goes to the book, then they have to do wire. So now you're talking about 100 feet of cable. And so if you have a camera operator that has to work with 100 feet of camera, PL, what they got to have for that? They got to have a guy. Yeah. Literally, their job is just around to coil the camera.
So that person don't kill himself.
Right.
Exactly.
I do work with UFC. That's all I'm around. There's like, when you say camera guy, you're talking about 2 people. You got the guy with the camera on his shoulder, and then there's the guy that's behind him, literally coiling cable. 100 feet of cable that go to the broadcast truck. So it's like, so for the churches that say, I want a mega church feel, unless you are coming with $1 million, all right, because I done gave you 3 sections. 3 sections of that one production that cost at least $50,000 a piece to $100,000 a piece. And I didn't even go with lighting. I didn't even go with sound. They got patch ports in the stage that run hundreds of feet of wire to their sound guy. Then all the lights that they have, all right, Leco lights don't cost, they're not cheap. And that's just for the body itself. Forget about the lamp inside it. The lamp inside it costs at least $500 to $1,000, depending on what Leco you get. And they have to have at least 20 to 30 of those things on their truss system. Front lights, and then another 20 on the back lights. And then they got Lecos on the side that hit the crowd, or if they're doing some sort of Easter Sunday production or something like that, and they need to light up the cross with the smoke and all this other stuff, you're talking another $500,000 just for the lighting system. I didn't even talk about the board.
Right.
The DMX controller.
Right.
The hours of it takes to get a professional to learn how to create scenes on that board and to turn those things different colors and to do the timings and all this other stuff. It costs a lot of money to get that mega church filled, and people just don't realize it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Creflo is asking for $2 million for a plane, you better believe
there's a reason
that they spent at least $15 million of that.
Yeah.
For the reason why you follow him in the first place, because he looks good. Any preacher can preach like Creflo. That's all right, but they're not going out there. But not every preacher is in a setting where they have the best sound, the best sound, the best camera, the best lighting, the state of the art. They're paying and training their professionals. Man, listen, if I had I went to what is it? First Emmanuel, the Clark sisters church in Detroit. Okay. They ain't even got that stuff. And you would figure
you would think that they would have that, right.
You would think Pastor Shared would have all that stuff in it. Nah, they don't. Why?
Right.
Because they know who they are. They know they can't afford that stuff. They can't, listen, we known for our sound. Let us be known for our sound. We're going to put all our money in our sound. And you want to go there. You want to get the state of the art sound. You want to get the state of the art or the best mixers that in Detroit that we got. But don't expect all the super cameras and all the stuff that they do, because that's just a very well-known church. They know what their limitations are. That's why I brought them up. They know what their limitations are, and they don't try to exceed those limitations. So my best advice for all those looking for that mega church feel is know your limitation.
Exactly.
What you want is clear sound, you want clear vision, and you want a good connection speed. Those are the three things that you need right now. Once you've mastered those things, then you can start trying to get fancy and do all other stuff.
Right. So adding things on a little bit at a time.
Yeah. And you don't have to get it all at once. If you want to start with anything, start with your sound.
Yep.
Because it's better for you to be heard It's better for you to be heard clearly and not seen clearly, because people can forgive. Like I can if I'm watching you on Facebook and your video isn't dead right, I can always just open up another browser and start doing something else and still listen to what's going on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So your audio, it should be your number one priority, because without audio, any visual that you see, you can be looking like you're on a HD pay-per-view. And if your audio is jacked up, no one's going to stick around and listen to it, because I can't take that noise.
Yeah.
So start with your audio first, invest in your audio, and then try to spruce up your video.
Wow. Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hey man, I appreciate your time.
Sure.
And I hope those are listeners out there, especially pastors, leaders, people in tech, take heed to these nuggets, this information that you can definitely share within your church. And just seek out the information. It's out there. It's called Google. Use it. It's called Google. It's a lot of information out there. There's no excusing, no excuses.
Right.
Use the tools that you have to get where you need to be, and then look at how you can make that better. Right. And lastly, I would say, get your team some training.
Exactly.
Get your team some training.
Yep.
So this way, you don't got to call me all the time. I'll tell you a crazy story, Jerry, before we get out of here. I put a board in a church, put a Midas console in a church, and their head engineer, I can't even make this up. Their head engineer says to me, I had him testing stage inputs, like stage boxes. Their mixer was in the sky and balcony. So he's testing the cables and he's plugging it in. I'm going line by line. All of a sudden I get a dead one. He says, "Hold up. Let me get the cable that came with the microphone." I'm going to let that say la. Let me get the cable that came with the microphone.
Because that's going to work better. Okay?
I hope you saw my face drop. I really do.
Let me get the cable that came with the microphone. So I went to the church and I said, listen, why don't y'all do this? Let me get you one of my guys to come get. Why don't you get a board? Let's not get the Midas. Let's get something. Let's get an Allen and Heath SQ series, SQ6. Right. It's about $2,000 cheaper. Take that money. Get a guy. It could be me. It could be any one of my guys. Mm-hmm. And let me train your staff for 3 months. Then me come here every Sunday, every midweek, so they can see how it should sound. And then by the time the 3 months is up, you have a trained engineer. They told me, no, we want the best. And got a Midas. Mm-hmm. Guess who calls me all the time? Mm-hmm. And that's the story of, getting training for your team. So before we get out here, we do this thing called 30 seconds and going. I know Dre's face almost dropped to the floor. What I said. Get the cable that goes with the microphone.
The mic is too low.
Yeah, let's go get that. That's gonna work.
All right, so these are rapid fire questions. You say yes, no, maybe so, any way you want to go. I hope you're ready. Here we go. 30 seconds and gone.
Yeah.
Question number 1.
Come on.
Your favorite camera?
Z-Cam.
Yeah. Okay. Snapbacks or fitted?
Fitted.
Top 3 movies?
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Empire Strikes Back. Wow. I don't know what the third one is.
It's a tough one.
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver. Great movie.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie. Yeah. Shot great, too. Okay. Rice Krispies, Frosted Flakes, or Sugar Pops?
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes. Zoom or Prime?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Wow.
All right. Narrative work or documentary?
Narrative.
Narrative. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs of all ages.
Yep.
We want to thank my brother. I call him Crazy One. I call him Train. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you, sir.
Yeah. I gotta throw that up in there.
All right. Award-winning director.
That's what's up.
You can follow me on all social media at CrazyONE373. That's Crazy1373. For those of you who are old enough to remember how pages work, 373 is a code. You can figure that out.
All right. Well, we will end it like we always do. Keep God first in everything you do.
Yes.
See you next time on the Church Sound Podcast.
Yep.
Every service, they are there. Every conference, they are there. Trustworthy, professional, and faithful. They're the first to arrive and the last to leave. They are our essential workers. Hey, Pastor, if this does not describe your media team, then we can help. If you want your team to rise to the occasion, let us train your team. Partner with Invisible Ministry. Do you want to partner with IVM? Come on and partner up. You can contact us at 757-768-5136. We do new installations and upgrade existing equipment. No church too small, no church too big. Give us a call for a consultation at 757-768-5136.